In 1877, a Mr. Rickets married a lady by the name of Clarissa, but their happiness was short-lived, and Mr. Rickets quickly became tired of his wife's habits. And in 1878, he gave his wife £38,000 on the condition that she would move as far away from him as possible. So Mrs. Rickets purchased a posh pile called Sartis House in the village of Yoxford. She engaged servants, a groom, and some stable lads, and made herself at home. She bought a fine carriage and some horses, and could be seen riding through the village in her brougham with her 2 Pomeranian dogs seated either side of her. She expected to be waited upon, hand and foot, and to be given the deference due to a lady of her station. She spent freely on entertaining, travelling, and on her racehorses, and rebuilt the stables of Sartis House at a cost of over £1,500. She even started to call herself Mrs. Rickets Rickets. Eventually, Mrs. Rickets became friends with the Honourable Morton and Mrs. North, who lived at Darsham Cottage, about a mile down the road. By this time, Mrs. Rickets, who was very taken with gambling on both horses and in the casino, had invented an invincible system for winning at roulette. One day she shared her secret with the Norths, who were persuaded by her to part with a tidy sum of money. She promised to take their cash and increase it many times over. So it was that in the autumn of 1887, with the Norths' money in her purse, Mrs. Rickets set off to make them a small fortune at the roulette tables of Monte Carlo. However, after a few weeks, the Honourable and Mrs. North received a telegram containing the dreaded words, "Losing heavily." It was not long after this, in December 1887, that the death of Mrs. Clarissa Rickets, aged 48, was announced in the local newspapers. Soon afterwards, a mysterious baron arrived at Sartis House to make arrangements for the funeral. Indeed, 2 of her own racehorses pulled the hearse to the church, where a piece of paper was pinned to the notice board with the words, "Old Mrs. Rickets is not yet dead. 2 fat pigs are buried here instead." Gossip had it that Mrs. Rickets was seen outside the church, looking in through the window at her own funeral, and that the baron, who bore a suspicious resemblance to Mrs. Rickets, was seen after the wake, boarding a train at Darsham Station with a suitcase full of cash, although these facts have not been verified.